Okay, so my name's Adam. I'm a full-time parent, carer. I've got 3 boys. I'm married. My wife works. This is me. This is my job. I get up early in the morning. With my autistic son. My son Ryan is 24 this year. He was diagnosed with autism when he was about 3 or 4. He was diagnosed with autism with learning disabilities, and that's quite a loose term, really. And it's really difficult to understand as a parent what that means when you're given that diagnosis. And it certainly can take many, many years to understand what that means as a parent and as a carer. A typical day for us would be Ryan would get up between 4 and 5 a.m., which might sound early to some, but before that it was about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'll take 4 or 5 a.m. all day long because it's better than 1 or 2. And a lot of autistic children don't sleep at all. They could go days and days and days without sleeping. So that's not unusual. So 4 or 5 o'clock to me is a good solid routine. And if everything, if A follows B and all the I's are dots and all the T's are crossed and everything is comfortable with my son during the day, he will pretty much stick to that routine. Everything that my son does and everything that he is about the routine. I can't overemphasize how much routine is to my son as an autistic person. That will start early in the morning from how he gets dressed, to how he brushes his teeth, to the types of clothes he would wear on a particular day, on a particular time of year. So we have a summer routine and a winter routine. So we have clothes in the summer and clothes in the winter. And that's how I was able to get my son dressed. Again, not unusual for autistic people. They don't like the sensory feeling of clothes on their skin. So it can take, so many people, my son included, didn't wear clothes for a long time. So we adapted that by doing a routine. And we do routines with everything. So same clothes, same day, same time, put them out. At first, my son wouldn't wear them, but he got used to seeing them. And eventually he would copy me getting dressed. Same with toileting. He would copy me with the toilet, because a lot of autistic people with learning disabilities take a long time to potty train. So it's about those routines. It's about routines for everything: food, drink, toileting, hygiene, out and about. You've got to be alert at all times. And if my son is distressed for any reason at all, that will affect his behavior and it will affect those routines. And then that affects how he is. And that's what you, as a parent, you don't want him to be upset. You don't want him to be anxious. You don't want him to be biting himself. He does understand, but he doesn't fully understand. It's very difficult to explain to him why the changes are. If a member of staff was missing at his day centre, that would cause him upset and distress. If a pupil was missing at school, had a day off sick, that would cause him upset and distress. You'd have to explain. It would take time. If the radio station that he listens to was showing the wrong song playing on the digital readout, that would cause him distress. Sometimes you can understand what the changes are that are causing him distress. Sometimes because of the communication barrier, even though my son does talk, he's not able to fully explain everything. So there's a communication barrier there. So you may never know why he's frustrated. And your very job, your very being, your role is to make sure that he isn't frustrated, because it's important to him. And if it's important to him, it's important to me as a parent, to make sure that his day runs as smoothly as possible so that he can process it. This isn't about being spoiled or bad behavior. This is a young man that's autistic with learning disabilities that needs these things in place in order to be able to process them. And that's very important. If you think that if you went into a room and all the lights were turned on really, really bright and loud music, real loud music that made you feel uncomfortable, that made all the hairs stand up on your body, and the lights are flashing, and they were making, that's how it must be for my autistic son when those things aren't in place. It's all about how he understands it and interprets it, and it's really, really difficult for him. So it's important to say that the routines that were in place when he was 4 or 5 years old, even though I didn't fully understand why they needed to be there as a parent, and when Ryan would be upset or distressed about something, looking back, that might have been due to changes of routines that I put into place or things I did, not understanding the importance of routine. Ryan's behaviour was always better when those routines were kept in place. So routines that existed 10, 20 years ago, we will still have those in place now. So set meal times, we'd have a day where we'd go out for a drive, we'd have a supermarket day, things like keeping to, when you tell my son a time, it needs to be that time. So those things were as important then, and they are really important now. I guess the main thing that's changed is my understanding of how important they are to him. They've always been important to him. That's never changed. And keeping things as close to routine as possible is so important. So I would say the thing that has changed is how I understand how important that is to him. I don't think they've changed to him. I think they've always been that important to him. So it's really, really, really difficult to, as a parent, to get across how hard it is for him when those changes. If something did change, he might bite himself. If he would be upset, he would carry on asking the same question. Now, if something changed, and say something changed on the telly, and a new presenter is going to be back in 2 weeks' time, my son will be upset for those entire 2 weeks. For those 2 weeks, he will ask all those questions. Where's the news presenter? When they're coming back? What's happening? What's going on? Be getting up early. He will repetitively ask those questions. He will bite himself, get distressed. So one thing I would do is I would use anchor points outside of that change in order to help him cope. So I would, all those things that I've spoken about, all the different routines, I would use those routines as a basis to help him understand that change. So I would concentrate on all the things that are definitely happening so that he could understand the thing that isn't happening.